Who is Emu, and what are they after? Ever since chapter 906, we've been getting bits and pieces hinting at who Emu truly is, what they're really after, and their story. But in the newest leaks of One Piece, chapter 1163, we've gotten one of our biggest hints yet. In the new chapter, Promises, several subtle but significant clues appear. Emu directly refers to Rocks as Davy Jones. Rocks dismisses it because he's carrying Davy's will, not actually Davy Jones himself. Rocks then mentions a promise that seemingly originated from Davy Jones. Enraged, Emu says, "That's why you all need to be expunged," referring to the Davy clan. In his anger, he also says, "Mu's world remains incomplete." But what exactly is Mu's complete world? What is Emu truly after? And what is Davy Jones's promise? In chapter 1085, Emu describes the D clan as their enemies, but also says that in recent years, its members have become empty husks, ignorant of the name's true meaning. Yet Emu knows the war never actually ended. This is because the D clan continues to carry out its will subconsciously. However, there seems to be one exception, Davy D. Xebec. Xebec is one of the most knowledgeable characters in the series. He knew about Emu and reached the flower room. His goal was to become king of the world, but the way he spoke hinted at something greater than himself. Knowledge and will passed down through the Davy clan. In chapter 306, Nico Robin described Davy Jones as a pirate from long ago, cursed by the devil to live in the depths of the sea. Based on this, we can assume Davy Jones lived during the Void Century and was cursed to the abyss by Emu. But there's more to it. Blackbeard and Rocks both share a desire for the world, or to rule the world. But in chapter 1162, Rocks called Emu the world. This may tie directly to Davy Jones's promise. But what was this promise? Around 800 to 900 years ago, Davy Jones ruled the ancient kingdom. Toward the end of the Void Century War, Emu offered a compromise through a series of high-stakes wagers. Emu lost his own game, but betrayed Davy Jones anyway. Before being sunk into the abyss, Davy promised his descendants would avenge him and take the throne back. That vow evolved into the Davy back fight. So when Rocks and Blackbeard declare their desire for the world, they're not just ambitious, they're continuing that ancient promise. By now, it's pretty obvious that the one who will fulfill this promise will be Blackbeard. Just as Luffy is destined to liberate the world, the same can be said about Blackbeard becoming king of the world and killing Emu. Rocks calling Emu the world flips its entire meaning on its head. Since chapter 957, we knew that Rocks wanted to become king of the world. We know for a fact that Blackbeard and his crew share the same goal. In chapter 1107, when Saturn asked Van Augur what the Blackbeard pirates are really after, he simply responded, "The world," triggering Saturn to instantly attack him. And as early as chapter 440, Blackbeard told Ace, "Conquer the world with me. I've already planned how to do it." And I don't think this is just a bluff. On Blackbeard's Vivor card, one of his hobbies is researching history, hinting that he has as much knowledge as his dad. Given that, what I'm about to say makes perfect sense. By now, in the story, it is pretty obvious that everything Blackbeard does is planned. He spent 30 years on Whitebeard's ship just to get his hands on the Yami Yami no Mi. So why was the second fruit he went for the Gura Gura no Mi? Because in chapter 552, it was revealed that it could destroy the world, while Sengoku meant the planet Oda loves his double meanings. And if we follow this sentiment, it means Blackbeard has been waiting the entire time just to get certain fruits that could kill Emu. If you still don't believe me, Emu dying to Blackbeard was also foreshadowed in chapter 1162. When Saturn said, "I could not say, this is all so unexpected. If anything, might bring about the birth of something entirely new." People have wild speculations, but it's simple. They were referring to Blackbeard, who carries his father's will ruthlessly. To succeed in becoming king of the world, and avenging Davy Jones, along with his father, fulfilling the promise. Now what is Mu's complete world? In chapter 1113, we learn that the world is sinking due to the world government's use of the ancient weapon Uranus. And in chapter 1115, we discover the world has sunk before, so if Imu only wanted to rule, why destroy the very world he rules over? In chapter 1086, Nusturo and Peter believed the use of ancient weapons could finally end the ancient battle. And in chapter 1115, Vegapunk echoes this, saying the Void Century War never ended because the ancient weapons still exist. Imu's reaction is telling. He throws a tantrum when reminded that the D-clan, his antithesis, still exists. At first, it seems like simple paranoia that his enemies survived. But it hints at something deeper. In chapter 1084, when King Cobra mentions Nefertari D. Lily's name, Imu reveals himself, showing an obsession. He calls Lily's act of spreading the poneglyphs a mistake. While he suspects she did it intentionally, he only learns of her D name when Cobra reveals it. However, Lily never made it home, implying she was killed. Yet Imu's fixation on her, and the fact that he still saw her as an ally at the time, suggests he may not have been the one who killed her. So what really happened to Lily? Putting the clues together, it's clear that Lily worked with Joy Boy, likely tasked with spreading the poneglyphs while posing as a spy. Some theorize she used the Nikku no Mi, Kuma's fruit, but I take a different view. In a previous theory, I said Joy Boy parallels Odin, but I also think Lily parallels Toki. Toki ended her journey due to exhaustion, but Lily's situation was far harsher. Joy Boy likely foresaw his own defeat with advanced observation haki and entrusted Lily with scattering the poneglyphs and hiding the One Piece on Laugh-Tale, a mission she couldn't abandon. She probably died completing it. Now this brings us to the ancient war. So why did the ancient battle even begin? I believe it all started with the discovery of the Mother Flame. Lunarians produce an everlasting flame on their backs, and its potential as an energy source was discovered. The Forbidden Sun. The Great Kingdom used it to fuel rapid scientific advancement. Despite this limitless energy, wars continued, and the creation of ancient weapons only made things worse. 20 kings, including Nerona Imu, wanted to seize and destroy the Forbidden Sun to stop the chaos. Joy Boy disagreed. He believed peace could be achieved through the energy itself, much like Vegapunk's dream. These opposing ideals led to the Great War. Joy Boy, the Great Kingdom, and allied nations like Wano, Elbaf, and Fishman Island united under his cause. As established, Joy Boy foresaw his defeat and tasked Nefertari D. Lily with becoming a spy and spreading the poneglyphs. During this mission, Imu fell in love with Lily. When he discovered her betrayal, she was likely already dead. This enraged him, and in this rage, he took over her body, making her his vessel, as he does with Gunko, only he would make her his main vessel. In this state, Imu deceived Zunesha. That was his crime. He later told Joy Boy what happened. But when Joy Boy encountered Imu, despite his strength, Joy Boy couldn't strike Imu while he inhabited Lily's body. Exactly what Imu wanted. Joy Boy, unknowing that she was already dead, took the deal to fight for Lily's fate unconventionally. Joy Boy refused at first, but with Lily as a hostage, he was forced to accept. This became the first ever Davy back fight. Imu played dirty, causing Joy Boy's defeat. Cursed to the ocean, Davy Jones, otherwise known as Joy Boy, had his name erased and his legacy twisted. His clan hid in secrecy, but their ancestors' story lived on. This is why Rox called Imu the King of Rats. But Imu didn't see it that way. He and the other kings weren't always corrupted. They may have once dreamed of an ideal world. Some may question why Imu didn't just address Rox as Joy Boy instead of Davy Jones. I believe this is just a red herring from Oda. After Joy Boy was defeated, instead of hope, Imu became consumed by paranoia, terrified of the D clan's return. Letting fear overtake him, he flooded the world, erasing the past. But the echoes of the D clan persisted. That paranoia turned into madness. Eventually, it wasn't about survival. It was about extermination. Imu became desensitized to genocide and historical erasure. And he wasn't alone. The Don Quixote family was already enslaving dwarves 900 years ago. Morality among the 20 kings had long since collapsed. Imu, requesting the Mother Flame immediately after confirming Lily's betrayal, shows he'd completely lost himself, a hollow remnant of who he once was. It's like what Papagoo said back in chapter 497. And on the topic of fishmen, I previously said that Davy Jones and Joy Boy are the same person. But I also believe Joy Boy's journey started all the way back in Fishman Island because he himself is a fishman. It sounds crazy at first, but hear me out. Joy Boy was first mentioned in the Fishman Island arc, which was very intentional by Oda. He was described as a man who lived above the sea and left an apology to the fishmen for breaking his promise. This promise was to take them to land and show them what he experienced, paralleling Wano and Odin. He also left behind a massive arc as a physical piece of his will and promise. This direct connection to Joy Boy would also add to the reason why fishmen experience so much racism. Now you might wonder why the fishmen, despite their link to Joy Boy, haven't been wiped out. It's because they parallel Alabasta. Alabasta and Vivi are connected to the ancient kingdom and Joy Boy, yet they still stand. The same applies to Shirahoshi and Fishman Island. Shirahoshi getting captured in Marie-Joie might not be the first time there was an attempt to kidnap Poseidon in the Holy Land. Emet randomly stormed Marie-Joie 200 years ago, around the same time the fishmen attended a reverie for their rights, likely coming to protect her because of her link to Joy Boy. This also ties back to the man marked by flames. In Chapter 967, when Roger visited Fishman Island, the road poneglyph was there, but now it's in the hands of the man marked by flames, who is also likely a fishman. Blackbeard likely has knowledge of this due to his connection to Fishman Island. Some of you might be skeptical, but look at Rox's and Blackbeard's noses. Don't they resemble those of fishmen? In the world of One Piece, there's a very rare race called the Wotan, a mix of giants and fishmen, first shown in Chapter 309 during the Davy Back fight. This also seems very intentional to introduce this race during the Davy Back fights. It would also explain why Blackbeard is so large compared to the average human. If Joy Boy was also a Wotan, it would explain his size along with Blackbeard's. More importantly, it would clarify how he was able to get the Noah built. His connection to Fishman Island and the Giants would explain how he could have united the citizens of Fishman Island with the Galila, the legendary Elbaf shipwrights that include ancient giants, to construct the Noah. This does leave one more question though. Who would be Joy Boy's rival pirate? I believe it is yet another fishman. In Chapter 606, Vander Decken IX was first introduced, and in Chapter 610, his ancestor, the original, was confirmed to have existed and described as a cursed pirate from hundreds of years ago, seemingly from the Void Century. Moreover, the first to defeat Vander Decken IX is Davy Jones. This last name choice doesn't seem like a coincidence, and in Chapter 606, Brooke gives us another piece of the puzzle. He says that Vander Decken was a crazed pirate captain who killed all of his crewmates. After doing this, he spat in the face of God and was then cursed to the sea to be tortured for eternity. Lastly, in Chapter 625, we also learn that Vander Decken was searching for Poseidon. Here's my interpretation of the story. Vander Decken was searching for Poseidon to utilize its power against Imu. Or perhaps he was in pursuit of power in general. Either way, I don't think Vander Decken was simply crazy. I believe he was actually Domi reversied by Imu. What happened to Vander Decken seems to parallel what is currently happening to rocks. The legend stating that he spat in the face of God after killing his crewmates probably means he snapped out of it, but too late, and was then cast into the abyss by Imu. Now, how does this tie back to Imu's goal of his complete world? From everything we've discussed, it's fair to assume that Imu wants to wipe out all who aren't celestial dragons, to get rid of the D clan and any of their allies, seemingly to create a twisted utopia with the celestial dragons. This could be why he's attempting to flood the world again. Fishmen being able to breathe underwater would be another hindrance to this false utopia. But how do we actually know that Imu is attempting to create this celestial dragon utopia in the first place? In chapter 524, we are introduced to the Tequila Wolf Bridge, which has been worked on for 700 years, around 100 years after the Void Century. This sentiment is also brought up by Vyncke in chapter 1125. The red line, along with these massive structures, would encompass the entire world above the rising water. However, Imu hindered his own plan by destroying all the technology from the Void Century. We also know Imu genuinely cares about celestial dragons, at least a little. In chapter 1163, he was indiscriminately attacking Marines and pirates. But we didn't see him attack any celestial dragons or even knock any out with his haki. But even if he achieves this false utopia, Mu's world would still not be complete. In chapters 1050 and 1162, Imu has possessed other vessels as a means to leave Pangaea Castle. In fact, we've barely ever seen him leave the Flower Room. Why is that? At first, you might say it's because knowing of his existence would break a taboo. But this doesn't hold up, because in chapter 1163, he appears at God Valley almost entirely in his regular form. Nobody would even assume he's with the world government if he came on his own accord. So why doesn't he leave Pangaea Castle? It's because he can't. Joy Boy, before being cursed to the sea by Imu, took away his ability to be under the sun, turning Imu into a vampire. Because of the Harley text, we know that the sea god Poseidon of Joy Boy's era was able to place a curse on devil fruit users that banished them from the sea. Using this logic, the user of the sun god fruit should be able to do something similar. In fact, we've already seen Kazuki Moria do this all the way back in Thriller Bark with the shadow fruit. So what's to say Joy Boy couldn't pull something like this off with the sun god fruit? Thank you for watching my first theory video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and follow my TikTok account for more theory content.